And it is, as usual, going to be probably one of the primary bans here. We might see some leans towards Jeff. I don't know if we've seen too many Jeff looks in particular from this roster for Insomnia, but everything will be revealed as we head into our first map. As always, Domination and Mox. The bans here are a little bit different from your bans in your comp games.
Yes, these are not universal bans, these are one-sided, which is how you're going to be able to draft one-sided compositions. And a lot of these teams, if they go for that Mantis ban into their opponent, will be able to get Mantis if it's not mirrored, and there it's going to be. So Insomnia are likely going to be able to get one-sided Mantis, Chopped potentially going to be able to gain access to one-sided Jeff, but no, Insomnia actually going to be prioritizing taking the Ultron into their mix. So now we're going to have a lot of good pressure on dive compositions coming on through from Chopped, plus having access to Rage of Ultron to try and win out that first fight. If Chopped, look for a triple strategist line and to stall the fight out until that Adam's able to build Karmic.
Okay, options here for that one-sided Jeff, or matching the Ultron here, as it hasn't been taken away just yet in our ban order by Insomnia. For Chopped, they are going to opt for the one-sided Jeff, which seems to suit them well as a fast go kind of team.
Do Insomnia remove the Venom this time around? No, they're going to start taking away the Luna. So they're really drafting to weaken any strengths coming on through from Chop's duelist line. Plus, if the Venom does manage to creep on through, you don't have to worry about the damage boost coming on through from Fate of Both Worlds. Chopped are going to be doing the same thing, taking out the Luna, no Fate of Both Worlds damage amp, and crucially as well in the duelist lane fights, no one-sided idle aura. As Insomnia know that there's going to potentially be Human Torch and Phoenix, and that's why we see the Invisible Woman catching a ban too.
Okay, Chop now get their own protect here. Adam's still on the field, but are not going to opt in for it. Instead, making sure the Star-Lord is available. Has become kind of the premier duelist in the current meta, probably mostly matched by Phoenix when it comes to usage rate and overall efficacy. Now Insomnia, they can round out their bans.
Star-Lord's going to be really strong as well into that Ultron too. Ultron does not get a lot of dodging capabilities against the Star-Lord, and indeed, there goes that Venom. As remember, Chop still had that Jeff at play because they were able to save it, which means the symbiotic shenanigans that you have to worry about, plus a Venom soft diving in, forcing your backline to have to turn around and patty cake each other, thus opening up a lot more space on the front line, something that Insomnia are going to be looking to utilize against Chopped when it comes to trying to vie for control of that first little bit of point cap.
You can get yourself a one-sided Star-Lord here, potentially Atom Band still on the table, maybe even a Phoenix to make sure that your Jeff is safer while using that H Jeff, as they're known to dive bomb. It's going to be the Invisible Woman taken away here, so this is going to make for much more even duelist matchups by not having that Guardian Shield on only one side of the field.
Yeah, I mean, if the Star-Lord was able to have access to Guardian Shield, that would have been really detrimental for Chopped in the fight when it comes down to Galactic Legend 1v1s. Plus, if Tuzi's going to be moving on over to the Psylocke so that he can keep up the pressure onto things like that Ultron, being able to target out the Flyers, not having to worry about the Guardian Shield being in your way and providing that level of healing for the Psylocke to potentially get scouted on out and have to disengage away from the fight before she's been able to find a hit on either the Ultron or the Star-Lord.
All right, Krakoa is where we begin our series. No more second chances, no more mulligans. For Chopped and Insomnia, this could be where their run for Ignite and their run through Marvel Rivals Esports this year ends ignominiously.
Chopped, they've liked putting Tuzi on this Psylocke. They've really liked having Crazy Kitty as well to be able to flex onto things like that Phoenix. And if they get dove upon, we could very easily see a pivot over to that Winter Soldier, which tends to be their reaction to either 2-2-2 compositions or 2-1-3 compositions coming on out in the mix if they're a little bit behind things. That's one thing that Chop bring to the roster by having the star power of Tuzi and Crazy Kitty. They've got so much flexibility on their duelist lines. They don't really care about being entirely banned out of strategists. As you can see, Mash going to be occupying the Cloak and Dagger mantle this time around, already in the Cloak form, looking for a blind to open up onto Forever on the Venom if he looks for a soft dive first.
Access to that Jeff in the back if only they want to take it. Doesn't actually get used to Frenzied Arrival, as there's going to be a split up here from Chopped. As you said, the Ultron does have their struggles against this Star-Lord, but there's some good warding peel coming through from Nocturne. I believe a quick TP back as well from Tuzi to reposition on a brand new angle and continue to really force Insomnia off of theirs. It's going to be DRP posting up on the point, trying to get that early percentage towards the cap, and now Insomnia have to move on up to try and match this one, but they're doing it without Line Pro's heals. Trades out at least for match much. Twitzy manages to get themselves a little bit of additional work around the edges, but Tuzi's found the back line, and boy is feasting with the element guns, able to tear it apart piece by bloody piece.
Yeah, Ultron doesn't have the ease of access of something like a Human Torch to be able to win the 1 versus 1s against the Star-Lord, and Tuzi in the space of one fight is already 60% and still climbing to that first Galactic Legend with no Rage of Ultron in sight, plus no Invis Woman means no invisible boundary for Chop to have to try and force out the Invis ultimate first and then hold on to the Galactic Legend to use afterwards. Now they're in the driver's seat too. They're going to be able to scout out Insomnia's rotations and try and trade their positions with their Vanguards anchoring the point and peeling for their backline.
Forever, eyes potentially here on a Feast of the Abyss. Not many amplifiers available in terms of turning that one into confirmed casualties. Gonna have to use it just to save themselves. Eating out a chomp of Beetle, the flavor of democracy courses through the veins of a symbiote. Sia is shown and quickly destroyed. Tuzi on their own is going to roll on forward. The Galactic Legend once more should be written on Krakoa. That is not the ideal counter ultimate for Relaxing Sky, who's bought out in sequence. Maybe a little bit of nerves hitting as they thought they could try and assuage the onslaught of Tuzi, and they could not have been more wrong. The Freedom Charge might be slightly better, but Forever's already fallen on down. Passuo doing their best to save the Rocket Raccoon, but this entire time stalling Mox, they're not in control.
Yeah, Insomnia as well. The longer that this fight goes on, the less opportunity we have to be able to set up and anchor some of these ultimates together. Beetle clears out Passuo too, so the Captain America doesn't get to go for the back cap and push Chop's positions all the way out, and that means that Tuzi got the opportunity to find Nocta, who was looking for a little bit of a cheeky Galactic Legend in the back to push Master's ultimate closer to Insomnia's front line.
Twitzy looking over towards the back. The Insong Inferno good to go. Mash just gets absolutely decimated, but should be resurrected quickly by the BRB. And this has been destroyed in the back. Crazy Kitty not going to prioritize eating here. Instead, uptime on their own heals from a joyful splash. Chopped, they have themselves a Freedom Charge for a little bit of additional HP and rolling on forward. You can see that now it's going to be the Ultron in the eyes of Beetle. Can't quite reach to get the Sentinel strike, and so the shield throw is not available. Tuzi tries to stop the onslaught as it's going to be a Galactic Legend around the back. So much charge on the Meteor, and so Forever is going to see that it's released prematurely. And Relaxing Sky has once more found out just how much of a struggle Ultron has going up against Star-Lord in the 1v1.
Not just that, but Insomnia are running 2-2-2, which means that they're relying on the Rocket being able to heal the Ultron when he gets that pressure. Now they don't have the Cosmic Ion Amplifier too, which means no level of sustainability against the Galactic Legend. And even through the Corrosive Tendrils, Tuzi is still going to be able to wipe the board of Insomnia's players, and Chopped take the first round of Krakoa with a dominant 100-0 position.
Now that was Chopped really setting the tone, but this is the tone we expected as we laid out at the beginning of the broadcast. Chopped are 8-1 on domination. If there's a mode where they are potentially the GOATs, it would be this one.
Yeah, Relaxing Sky is just not having a fun time on this Ultron right now. You can look at the stats. 3,800 damage. I believe we got, what, 2 Rage of Ultrons? 1 in the first fight, 1 in the last fight. And every single time, it wasn't even just Tuzi going to challenge the Ultron when he had ultimate. Beetle was also just popping Freedom Charge and running it down main because he knew that there was absolutely nothing that could save the Ultron. You either find the elimination and you're up strategist, or you force the Ultron's position to have to look at the Captain America and you're up a strategist regardless.
4, 3,
Difficult times. Tuzi, 14 eliminations. 13 of them are final hits, by the way.
Not a single revisit to the spawn room either.
Coffees for closers and Matt's caffeinated.
Tuzi's just clocking into 9 to 5 at this point. Vertigo's going to have the Cosmic Ion Amplifier ready to go for this first fight as well, which means it's all up to just running towards Relaxing Sky and putting that Ultron under pressure once more.
Well, Twitzy's going to be catching the first wave of pressure here. You can see the Ultron drones on top of Nocta. There's this attempted pocket coming through, but Tuzi has the more personable pocket in the means of a Jeff for Landshark. Nocta forced to give away all of this space, even while having that Ultron drone. Tuzi
Sonya's got 0 space.
Away.
That it's not just Nocta who's getting absolutely zoned. Insomnia all got bottlenecked inside every single one of those chokes, which meant that Chop get point presence first and can now just bounce that presence into holding it, forcing Insomnia to have to over-invest ultimates just to be able to get through.
Yeah, and the thing about Insomnia's comp is that they're going to have a bad time pressuring the point because they don't really have the healing throughput from just an Ultron and a Rocket to stand on business on the point, especially against something like a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier.
Yeah, if they try and open up with Rage of Ultron, it's just going to get absorbed by the Meteor M, so it's got to be Freedom Charge first to just give everybody a carpet of sustainability to move into position, but Vertigo is going to challenge that with the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and Insomnia just don't have the damage to be able to melt it through first.
So Chopped just back off, and Insomnia don't want to fight into the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier nor expose them to those angles. Now they have their own though. Line Pro gives the advantage. Cosmic Yarn begins being amplified, and in comes the Ensong Inferno as well, but it seems like no final hits could be found. Crazy Kitty once again opts out of actually eating anybody. Instead going to prioritize the healing to make sure that Tuzi's healthy, chasing down the Phoenix. They're all over the Cosmic Bird, and Tuzi finds the final hit. Knocks her off a button, gets rid of Vertigo, and they can't resurrect themselves with the Battle Recall Beacon, and so this could be an opening. Save exactly for Beetle in the backline, marauding through the power of democracy, compels Insomnia to try once again, but with no rewards for their efforts. What a cheeky TP from Tuzi. Relaxing Sky thought that maybe it was time for a sit back and chill, but there's no such thing in this map.
I mean, Chop can just continue the aggression. They've got the mag bubble to be able to help anyone out if they start falling low, plus the BOB would be able to bring them back entirely scot-free for nothing but a trade of a cooldown. Tuzi can now hold his position with that Galactic Legend, put the pressure onto Pathaway because they know that the Freedom Charge is going to be the ultimate that Insomnia look to have any chance of surviving over time.
Tuzi, for now, just wants to try and tax the approaches of Insomnia towards the point, knowing that it's must touch. It's time to pop the Galactic Legend. A quick TP over to the other side. Tuzi with the unexpected off angle, and it's got everyone scrambling to try and deal with this. Line Pro under siege. Relaxing Sky equally pressured, and with very little healing available for Insomnia on the point, I think that the control already could be continued for the side of Chopped. Line Pro's down as well. Insomnia run on borrowed time despite the Freedom Charge. It's not to working round the edge, but Chopped, they are just an indestructible fortress in the middle of Krakoa. The cradle gets open, so too does a portal, and Insomnia can spill on out. But the Vanguard sit at the mouth of a Pentagram of Farala, a gaping maw, the abyss open, waiting to stare into your soul. And rolling through with a soul bond, there's still not enough mitigation here for Insomnia. Chopped take it away in dominant style.
It's not often that stats tell the full story of how a round goes. But when we look at the stats of this one, it does kind of. And it's actually going to show a lot of context about why the Ultron wasn't working for a number of reasons. One, the Ultron was always coming under pressure from things like the Star-Lord and the Captain America. And two, because you can actually see the amount of healing, right, that Relaxing Sky did on that Ultron was 6,311. That immediately says that whoever has the Ultron drone is not playing stacked with the team, so no one's really receiving the full benefit of the AoE area that drone healing is going to be able to apply to. Every single time when we see these replays, we're going to be seeing Relaxing Sky getting pressured on an isolated position, which means that they're not going to get peeled by their team easily, and they're not going to be able to try and win the 1v1s either, as we can see Tuzi just absolutely unleashed, going from target to target to target with all of the mobility that Star-Lord can afford.
And that lack of stacked healing also means that you're generating Rage of Ultron a lot slower as well. It's not as available for these triages. And it means that Tuzi is also keeping pace with generating that ultimate, which can be a little bit troublesome because you are without recourse, essentially, as Ultron. If you get ulted by Star-Lord, like, what can Bro do?
Not just that, but DRP was always going to be able to first build up Meteor M, so even if Rage of Ultron gets built, surprise, surprise, you can try and pop it and use it to brute force your way to have that little bit of safety and sustain, trying to move through from the choke onto the objective. But it's all just getting absorbed by that Magneto the second that you show up. And then once you've tried to move past, the rest of your team, if they're lagging behind at any point of that rotation, are getting jump scared by the Captain America and the Star-Lord running straight at them.
Chopped was so close to land tickets yesterday that it must have stung them to the very cause of their souls to have been denied so violently. And maybe pushed on by that rage, Insomnia might find themselves a victim, but we always expected for domination to be a Chopped advantage map. Now it's time for Insomnia to start crafting their own game. Their backline can choose the map they're going to, and we'll find out what Insomnia are cooking right after this.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Yes, sir, the hydrogen bomb has been dropped on the coffin baby. Yeah, to shreds, actually. Mox, what just went wrong, and how can Insomnia fix it?
Yeah, so Insomnia, the last time they went up against Chopped, really relied on soft dives coming on through from Paso. Here's the problem about soft dives. It's when your opponent realizes that they're soft dives and there's no pick potential behind them, because the soft dives take time to set up. You have to rotate, you have to scout, you have to establish your hit position, you have to actually hit, then you have to get out, get stabilized by your team, and all the while, the attacking team gets to do something about that. And that's exactly what Chopped have been able to do. They identified the Paso every single time he went in on the Venom, wouldn't have pick potential behind him, and they just got aggressive, moving in on the rest of the team before they could do anything with the space that the Venom was trying to buy them.
Legit chat block pass away right there. Don't care, didn't ask, L plus ratio. But now Insomnia, this is their choice of map, Symbiotic Surface. They're going for a more linear play where potentially they can start doing these wraps, getting some more value out of the soft dives, and maybe mess with Chopped's calculus of how much of a commit they're going to be seeing.
Yeah, especially because we're seeing a different convergence map show up too. So you can tell that Insomnia are really trying to push Chopped out of that comfort zone when it comes to understanding how these matches would go between the two of them, as Chopped are going to be able to take away the Jeff and guarantee themselves one-sided Jeff as well. So we're still going to be seeing if something like Starlord makes it through, the It's Jeff heals sustain from the puddle that now gets left behind. But not just that, Insomnia, if they do want to go for a 2-2-2 dive composition with Ultron, as we saw, does not get reliably healed by rocket from afar. Jeff, with a lack of drop-off on the primary splash, is still going to be able to keep your Ultron nice and intact.
Okay, one-sided Adam here rather than opting for the one-sided Mantis. I love Adam on domination. I hope I'm proven wrong and I kind of undervalue Adam on this map. I guess there are a lot of nooks and crannies in this map for some great res positioning. Of course, it's going to be Noctis Mantis taken away thereafter, and now we have simultaneous bans of Ultron.
I mean, the one-sided Adam is really good as an answer into Chopped's aggression, because it means that you can actually react when they walk forward with Soulbind, and then you should be able to win the fight. So essentially what we're going to be seeing here is a lot of staggered steps coming through from the team. The Venom's going to go in and try and force attention. Then Chopped are going to try and walk when the Venom is in the back line. Then the Adam's going to bind and take a brawl fight. And then Chopped are going to have to disengage safely. And then once all of that is done, then we can meet on the objective and brawl.
We've got to get through all of our admin first. You can brawl after you've done your homework. Gonna be Luna taken away now from the side of Insomnia. Last Protect coming through. Might well be onto a Star-Lord again.
Could be one-sided Luna, though.
Oh, one-sided Luna would be brutal. Flake on Star-Lord versus no Flake Star-Lord.
Yeah, Flake on Star-Lord so that you can scout out the Venom and hold your position. But no, they're actually going to go for the save onto the Emma so that, as we said, right, if the Venom does come through and Insomnia try and use that Venom to distract into the backline, your Emma can immediately grab him. Plus, she's really, really strong, not just for rushing onto the enemy team, but also preventing rushdown coming on through, which means that Insomnia might well find themselves zoned out despite having one-sided Soulbind because they're worried about walking directly into that Emma Frost.
Okay, one-sided Invis now available. But it's going to be one-sided Luna as well. And Emma's available for both teams, so Forever's likely going to be matching on this one. I'm excited to see what the Adam Warlock achieves, given its priority here in the bans for Insomnia.
What I am worried about is the fact that Insomnia got banned out of both the Luna and the Ultron and the Mantis, which kind of forces Relaxing Sky onto having to go onto the Cloak if they want to be able to run a stable Adam plus 2 other main strategist lineups. And that's going to be Invis plus something else. And it's the Cloak, which means that that Horn of Proteus doesn't even need to be damage boosted. If you can catch the Cloak in the middle of their dash on the Eternal Bond with the Horn of Proteus's middle AoE hit, you're going to be able to one-shot through it.
Oh, yeah, that would be absolutely disgusting to witness. I have to say, oh, hello. I see a Tuzi Namor, not the most common Tuzi pick here.
That's why I'm worried about the Namor into the CD, especially since Chopped, they're going to be able to actually force Insomnia into using the Eternal Bond with the pressure of Sonic Seduction, with the CC immunity that the CD is afforded.
Not at all wrong. Looks like it might be a preparation for a high ground hold here from Insomnia. This is often where we see an Adam team hold on Symbiotic surface.
There's the soft dive. And Chopped don't care. They just keep walking forward.
Actually.
I mean, it is stalling them at least, but that's the thing about Crazy Kitty having no drop-off on the primary, already 20% to the first ultimate.
All right, Beetle and DRP just making their way through the U, just bring it up behind, but Pasuo actually committed this time. Like we said, broke the calculus. They thought that it might not be a full commit, but this time Pasuo stayed in and Pasuo got the value. Now there are 4 members of Chopped who are kind of in no man's land. A freeze might get Mash out of this one. It's going to be an accuracy check on to Nocta and Twitzy, and they pass with flying colors.
Yeah, Nocta just being able to come through with the pressure of the Cosmic Clusters on that Adam, already 50% to the first Karmic Revival. So we're going to be seeing Chopped trying to return and regroup. It's going to be Beetle on that Hulk, having to clear out where exactly Pasuo is going to show up on the Venom, because it's not just Pasuo on the Venom now. Twitzy's actually going with him too with the Phoenix.
Yeah, Twitzy really committing to these because with the Dark Ascent, they can move between these planes of verticality fairly easily. DRP brings up an Aegis Shield behind their opponent to try and block off the healing. But both are broken in pretty short order. Nocta is going to use for Cocoon here. Line Pro is going to be lacking for healing because Nocta's still resurrecting. And the Karmic Revival's not ready yet, so Line Pro's down and Twitzy as well. This, well, might be curtains for the Insomnia defense who didn't quite reach their power spike and instead were spiked against the wall by a carbon kick.
Insomnia are going to try and contest this. Lime Pro is off of the Invis onto the Doctor Strange, which means that Twitzy is off of the Phoenix and onto the Invis, so they can try and build up invisible boundary. However, I mean, Tuzi's going to have the Horn of Proteus the second that any of these ultimates come through, and they pick Nocta again, which means no Karmic Revival.
The thing about the Soul Bond is I think that cooldown doesn't reset on respawn, so Nocta didn't have it available when coming out of the portal, and as the first person to come on in, I think they could have waited a touch more time for one of their more beefy like Vanguards to get out there. Chopped didn't even use an ultimate, man. They got 6 now.
It was regen domain. It was literally Portal came through, Vertigo drops regen domain, and Chopped pop every single aggressive cooldown that they have. Their Vanguards hold the line on the Portal to body block. Tuzi untouchable on the off angle from the high ground. Insomnia didn't stand a chance unless they used an ultimate prematurely. Tuzi now with that Snowflake too, coming through from the Idol, or going to be a real problem for Insomnia have to deal with on the flank, as that's good. Beetle gets taken down thanks to a great blind and a grab coming on through from Line Pro, but you still have to worry about the Emerald Smiths going on through.
Crazy Kitty lays down the healing pool here to try and give DRP an advantage. Just has to bring up the Aegis shield instead. Sentience grabs. Horn of Proteus into the back. 3 ultimates used already here from Chop to not much effect. And now it's going to be Relaxing Sky taking towards the back with the Cloak and Daggers Eternal Bond. So much sustainability, which Mash will try to match. A fate of both worlds to be decided. Beetle double stunned. Taking the angriest Hulk you've ever seen into the backline. And maybe trying to make their way through Twitzy. They're smacked out of the green embrace of... Oh, hello. Quick res coming through from Nocta. 3 players brought on back, including both of the strategists. And up close and personal, Twitzy does so much damage to the Hulk who was trying to punish this audacity.
For Vertigo,
they've used everything.
Yeah, Vertigo's still got God of Mischief. Chop went for the target focus onto Twitzy, who was so close to Ensong Inferno. It forced Noxa to have to burn the ultimate to bring him back. And Chop still have that Loki ultimate in case this fight goes south. Noxa will be able to pick up DRP, though, and that should be Chop having to go back to the drawing board for a next push.
Is Vertigo still in the back? I don't see them respawning.
Yeah, I haven't seen where that Loki could be. Oh, that's a doppelganger. I think Insomnia, they don't know where that Loki could potentially be. They found him. Vertigo goes for a copy prematurely and holds it onto the Cloak and Dagger, so he's going to be able to use the Eternal Bond to get his team forward and then into a blind. Oh, there's going to be so many people vulnerable.
A lot of vulnerable players here, but can the catch-up be found? Remember that up on this high ground, the Eternal Bond hasn't made it up there, so Beetle isn't going to get all of that healing. Yeah, there's supremacy on the ground right now for Chop. Insomnia just taking it slow. Twitzy ready to descend a little bit faster. The Horn of Proteus doesn't quite even deliver a stun here, as Tuzi didn't have the angle, but DRP's still ready for a follow-up. A Wrath of the Seven Seas is declared against Forever, but there weren't even any squids there to try and take advantage. Instead, Vertigo gets a little bit of a duplicitous turn upon the White Queen, and now Chopped, their focus on the cart is being rewarded. They have so much free space to work with when it comes to this objective.
That's the second time, by the way, that Nocta got picked, had to use Cocoon, and got picked immediately afterwards again, as Chop just have so much mobility with the Hulk and the Jeff to be able to chase down exactly where that Adam has been. Now the fight, however, is going to open up exponentially. If Insomnia manage to win a single one of these fights, they're going to be able to easily clear Chop from getting into that backline and use that same strategy, and they want to take that space. Out comes the Sonic Seduction into the blind, but a huge Meteor Emperor from Chopped with DRP finding the slam dunk onto the Phoenix stops all of that forward momentum.
Next, I'll simply tease up a Phoenix like a golf ball, and a swing with the driver from DRP was needed. Tuzi wraps around the back. The Gamma Squid's almost ready, but Crazy Kitty's here too. An assault onto a squishy could be everything. Wrath of the Seven Seas is going to be temporarily waylaid by the raising of the invisible boundary. Oh, they overlaid their support ults. Lads! We've overlaid our strategist ults. The invisible boundary and the Eternal Bond as well. Insomnia, despite the huge investment, do not have the sustainability. They've lost to Relaxing Sky, and Line Pro's surely soon to fall as well, as Twitzy's too far in. Stretched too far, Insomnia will keep this one contested. The Horn of Proteus strikes true onto Line Pro, and Nocta's in no place to resurrect, nor does he even have the option.
Oh, okay, he doesn't have the time to be able to take the 2 enemies into the spawn doors and find the immediate elimination off of the back of that one, but the Vanguards are going to be so far away, and this is such a painful point for Forever. There's no place for the Emma to actually reset herself. Insomnia have to just take a fight. Yep. Without a Vanguard, or wait for Forever to respawn and give up so much free point control.
Yeah, you can see Password playing more visibly in main at the moment to try and hold some of that space. Knows exactly where Tuzi is. Don't know if they expect 3 people to be here, though. Mash taken out from the back. Twitzy found the off angle. An unbelievable beginning here that might be well rewarded. Vertigo's managed to copy out the Cloak and Dagger. Eternal Bond is on the table now. Twitzy hangs above it all and looks for an early target, but the sparks haven't really been accumulated towards the back. Instead, an assault of the back line and maybe a cutting in 2 here, a bisection of a flank that was generated by Chopped. Tuzi close to the Horn of Proteus and gets quite the pocket from... Oh my goodness, the Gamma Squid just decimates the backline. The Wrath of the Seven Seas felt once again. Chopped continue to pound forward.
Oh no, the late pick onto Forever too. Insomnia, we're going to be looking to that Emma to open up the space and give them an opportunity to run into the objective. They're not going to be able to make it in time. They had Karmic Revival and they didn't get the opportunity to use it.
I feel like things just went so wrong once we saw the Loki copy onto the Eternal Bond on second. Insomnia, like, it was all down on the floor. They could have potentially taken a better fight up on high ground, not gone to where Chopped were at their most valuable. I think Tuzi got a lot of value on the off-angle flank there. And Twitzy was on such a long flank that I don't think they could receive much support either. It was a messy fight. And after that, they just couldn't really stabilize.
Yeah, we never really saw the momentum get stalled out from Chop's attack. They lost a couple of fights on second, but they still didn't really ever have to full disengage and then play back into taking all of that entry damage poke coming on through from the spam of both the Phoenix and the Atom. Nocta as well has been picked 7 times because Chopped have just had such good target focus of being able to find that Atom early. Doing a really good job as well as Tuzi. 27 eliminations currently, 13 final hits in one singular round is absolutely wild. It goes to show how many angles Chopped have been able to develop, how much map control they actually had to be able to put pressure onto Insomnia from all angles, not just the front line, but onto the back line too.
I mean, I'm impressed by Beetle being able to pick up 25 eliminations as well as a guy without a gun. It can be a little bit difficult to get involved with those frags as a Hulk, but it seems like Beetle's calls are being either well followed up upon, or Beetle is looking towards Tusi's targets and helping very quickly.
Okay, so Paso is going to use the see-throughness of the door to be able to scout where Chop's players are going to be holding, then relay that information to his team. And Insomnia can now make a choice. Do you try and walk with one-sided Soulbind to take away the high ground, or do you put yourself into an area where Chopped are less likely to be able to spam you down on your rotation, which is to the side room on the low ground? Twitzy, though, has been left behind, and that Phoenix is now very vulnerable.
Yeah, that Phoenix going to need a little bit of babysitting here. Remember, no option like a flake or something to try and keep that off-angle duelist sustained. Instead, Line Pro needs to try and maintain LOS, but it was not there. Tuzi, however, had plenty of it and strikes true with the trident. Nocta's, Nocta ain't going nowhere. Bro does not have the mobility for this. We're going to try and heal through the disengage, but I doubt Chopped are going to let up the pressure that much.
Insomnia are looking to have one person pressure the point at the same time that Twitzy tries to bully the off angle, but Chopped with the lunar rocket, and Jeff just have so much sustainability from every single angle possible. You don't need to patty cake and lose all of the heal opportunity for the rest of your players because of that idle aura. That's one of the strengths that Lunar Snow brings to this composition. Tuzi off of that spam's already got Horn of Proteus within the first fight.
Oh, the Horn of Proteus. Going to be difficult to deal with. Perhaps a Soul Bond might be required, or even a right-click from Relaxing Sky if they're up top on it, but I think actually disables the movement ability. I don't play much Cloak and Dagger.
If you try and use that Soulbind too before the res, Chopped are just going to walk directly onto your res position. They're actually just using Crazy Kitty's own ultimate to invade into the space that Nocta was looking to set that one up. And that's going to be a mag bubble onto the Jeff to make sure that he manages to survive the full rotation with the Atom. Paso comes in clutch with the Feast of the Abyss, but Tuzi's been able to find the pick. Nocta's got to use the Cocoon if he wants to bring himself back.
Yeah, we'll resurrect up on the high ground here, but Tuzi's doubling back, knowing that somewhere around here there's an Adama lurking. Sends in the Horn of Proteus, and Line Pro can't stand up, but Nocta was cheeky the entire time, sniped out of midair, and remember, no more self-revivals. Nocta brings back 2, but that's going to be where this fight is going to find its close, one way or another. No more second chances. Twitzy still has an Ensong Inferno to try and play with, but has to do the administrative tasks of dealing with the squids, and Insomnia are still so low on space. They run in onto Tuzi, a quick blessing of the deep. The risk has been taken. The pocket is real. In goes the Ensong Inferno, but it doesn't really convert onto much. There's enough healing here to try and get rid of Tuzi, but Nocta once again overwhelmed. He walks back so slowly, and he's instantly been taken out of a fight once again. Insomnia, they've only got a single tick to show for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Beetle and Crazy Kitty are just a hit squad right now on Nocta, who, like you said, is getting spawn camp, punishing the fact that Insomnia's players are still split. They still had presence on the objective and didn't have anyone to be able to care the upkeep of the Adams walk up. Paso now is going to have to go for a soft engagement, just trying to force Chop's attention to stop them from running aggressively into main, as we're down to under a minute and Insomnia have one good fight left in the bag. Crazy Kitty might just hold on to the Jeff ultimate too to stop any Strange Portal back for Insomnia to put themselves onto the objective in overtime.
That would certainly be a very dangerous proposition whenever Crazy Kitty's mostly been prioritizing using the healing pool instead of actually eating anybody up in these cases. Insomnia They don't quite have the move towards the high ground here. Instead, they just opt into a brawl on the point with the invisible boundary. Cosmic Yarn Amplifier grabbed on up. There's no means of escape here for the Venom or for the Adam.
Oh no, the CC immunity of its jab. Crazy Kitty uses the ultimate to dodge the Psionic Seduction so that Insomnia can't make a play with the triple strategist line on the space that the M has created. And that is Symbiotic Surface coming to a close. We thought maybe it's just that Chopped were dominant on Domination, the map type that they've historically had the most amount of success with. No, they were just dominant in this matchup currently, Harry. That was a clean full hold coming on through from this team.
Chop just seemed to be in a class of their own. The full completion into the full hold on the Insomnia's map pick. There's going to have to be a lot of soul searching done here, as it seems like Tuzi is just on a tear right now, but we haven't seen a huge amount of the Beetle Hulk, and the Beetle Hulk seems to be just as proficient as the other Vanguards in their stable.
Yeah, and I mean, they didn't even need to burn a ban on Adam too, because they showed how capable they were of dealing with it. That's actually one of the things that triple res you can punish it for. It's very easily telegraphed when Adam is close to Comic Revival and is looking to use it, because if you pick him first, he has to burn the self-res and bring him back, and you can just track down the location and make sure when the res comes through, you catch him in the animation to stop it entirely.
Yeah, and he's not the most well-defended fella during Comic Revival. Might be
especially
immune, but
especially if like the one defensive that Adam really has the Soulbind, right? This is the thing when you have to use self-cocoon on Adam, the fact that it actually shows the Adam's position when he's in that soul form. Because you have to take your position away, right? You're not going to be stacked with players. So if you do have Soulbind up, you're likely not going to be in the vicinity close enough to tether onto other people to start sharing out that damage. Soulbind for one person is going to do absolutely nothing when it comes to all of that incoming damage.
Yep, it gives a little bit of tick heal, but without the sharing, there is no caring. And for Chopped right now, they are hungry to have yet another shot at Atlanta. They are confident that they're a team that can potentially win Worlds, or at least make it there. Atlanta awaits, but for Insomnia, they teeter on the edge of oblivion. Their season is in desperate peril up against Chopped. They've worked hard to get here, but now they have to summon all of their might, squeeze every last neuron for the brain juices required to bring this series back after this break.
I want your soul! Hell unleashed!
Truly is do or die right now for Insomnia, a team we've lauded for their smart approaches and having a much more cerebral look at the game. But I'm not sure how many nerds can plan their way out of a swirly that's currently being given by Chopped.
Yeah, symbiotic surface, it was rough for sure. Like, Password going in on that Venom, Chop really didn't care about it. If the dive gets an elimination because it turns out it's not a soft dive, it's a hard dive, it's fine, you've got Rocket BOB. It's much more important that you retain that space for the angle control coming on through from Tuzi on that Namor, which means that you can put way more pressure on the entire rest of the team that the Venom is attached in. Dealing with one player as opposed to keeping a count of 5 others, that's a trade that you're gonna be taking every single day of the week. So now Insomnia find themselves back against the wall, match point to Chopped, having to take us over to Convoy. And I feel, Harry, like we're definitely not going to be going to Araco, given the fact that Chopped love the Ultron strategies, love the Phoenix, love the Human Torch, and that is one of the best areas that you can play all of those compositions, because on the attacking team, you literally just take the portal and appear behind that defending position and put pressure on the backline.
So the question is, are we going to see another pivot in terms of the first protected strategist for the side of Insomnia? For Krakoa, it was Ultron. Ultron got pretty much decimated by the Star-Lord.
Yeah.
On symbolic surface, it was all about the Atom. We didn't see too much value off the back of that. The fight planning seemed pretty strong from Chopped going up against the Karmic Revival. I mean, they had the option to go for the Mantis last time. Maybe we see the pivot into the Mantis this time. We never Nocta's very good at that. Maybe they just go towards a 2-2-2. But for Insomnia, it feels like the options right now for a very few good ones.
Yeah, that's the problem when you're running up against Chopped, right? Because Chopped can play compositions like the Triple Strategist, where they pocket just the one Phoenix, but they can also play 2-2-2. So if you try and play something like a pocket composition or go for dive, Crazy Kitty's going to be over to that Winter Soldier. Plus, if you're going over to Convoy, that means that it's going to be a Triple Vanguard, Triple Strategist composition for the defenders. And Crazy Kitty has been very, very strong flexing over to the Emma Frost.
Oh, Crazy Kitty has been a bit of a flex god, honestly. Very impressive season from Crazy Kitty, rising up the power rankings of players from failing to qualify to Stage 1 to being a potential land spot holder in Stage 2.
Well, Insomnia actually decide to defend first, so I feel like they have a strategy that's going to involve a lot of time burnt off from Chopp's offense. There, once again, goes that Mantis getting removed, so Chopped will be able to grab themselves the Jeff, which, as we've seen, they've been doing a really good job of keeping a track of the Atom's position, using the CC immunity when you're underneath the ground to be able to come through and stop any momentum picked up from Emma's Psionic Seduction. I still think Emma might actually go for a little bit of a ban coming in through from one of these teams, especially because Triple Vanguard always struggles into the Emma Frost because she simply just uses Carbon Crush and punishes you, trying to hold on to that objective as long as possible, and indeed, there is going to be removed. And Insomnia decided that, yeah, they tried the Ultron, they tried the Atom, it's time now to go for that one-sided Mantis we saw yesterday.
Hooray, we've gone to the leg day school of bans. Don't know if that's a good thing. but
I would agree, though. I think it's their best choice.
I mean, if Arya's thinking the same thing as me, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. You know, Chopped are going to get rid of the Ultron now. I've been really enjoying how well Crazy Kitty's been playing this kind of flank Jeff style. Harkens back to the chilling charisma era when Jeff was a DPS monster and teamed up with Luna. But instead, it's more about making sure that Tuzi is always comfortable to try and take a 1 versus 1, even against someone that's pocketed by something like an Ultron drone.
Well, no one-sided Atom coming on through from Chopped, so stall strategy is definitely getting weeded out here, as we can see that the Emma is going to be banned out for both of these sides. Okay, so Insomnia are actually going to once again go for the one-sided Atom, but this time they've also got themselves the Mantis. So soul resistance is going to build up very, very quickly. You're also going to have CC as well to try and save your Atom if Chopped do try and go aggressively after him and force out the Cocoon before the Karmic Revival, which means that Insomnia with a triple strategist lineup should be able to keep a better care of Nocta. Though I do wonder who's going to play the Mantis now, because Nocta's played both the Mantis and the Atom so far for this team.
Yeah, Nocta's generally that flex. We haven't really seen a huge amount of like Line Pro Atom in Line Pro's like competitive career as well, as far as I can remember. I think Melio used to pick that up on Fnatic if it was ever going to be played.
Yes.
Ultron going to be protected now. There's going to be a lot of off-angle pressure coming through from Chopped, but maybe that's going to make it a little bit easier for Insomnia to hold as a collective group, a little death ball of vanguards and strategists.
If you're also wondering, looking at that ban draft and scratching your head over why Loki caught a ban, it's because Vibrant Vitality team up with that Mantis, having the damage boost on Regeneration Domain, plus being able to potentially copy Adam Warlock, which we saw yesterday, actually, to really stall out attacking teams by not just having access to one comic revival, having access to two. But this is the thing, when you go up against Chopped and you let something like an Ultron through, we know what's going to accompany it, and that's going to be the 2Z Human Torch. Back in stage 1, there was rules that you did not allow certain things to get through the ban draft. 2Z tended to get 3 bans targeted towards him, the Psylocke, the Human Torch, and things like the Hela as well. So they do have to put up with that. And into Triple Vanguard, Pyro Prison can be absolutely lethal when it comes to applying that fire tick damage on main road.
You know what's even scarier than 2Z playing the Human Torch? 2Z not having to play the Human Torch, because there are 2 Human Torch players on this team.
Yeah, the Crazy Kitty pickup for this team was actually really good because they can both play things like the Ultron, they can both play the Phoenix. If they want to go for Triple Vanguard hold, they can also play that too, with him flexing over to the Duelist and the Vanguard. As we can see, it's going to be Insomnia on the Hulk. So they anticipated, they knew that they let things like the Flyers through, and they're already on counter-flyer measures.
Okay, for Twitzy, it's time to become a generational duelist player. Full pocket here, getting the Unbreakable Guard, getting the damage boost, getting the Lunar Flake. All of the eggs are in the Twitzy basket for this hold.
Yeah, but look at all of the space that they've lost because Chopped are running a singular Vanguard. Beetle is onto the Wolverine, putting even more pressure onto Insomnia, and he's already been able to find a grab onto Forever, and there's just nothing. The Nemo's getting everything, which means that the Mag is left out to dry.
Even with Light and Dark Karma deployed, seems like Relaxing Sky had a bit of additional survivability, but not much more than that. Beetle going after the Hulk. Passivo just continuously right on down. Crazy Kitty hot drops into the back line of Insomnia. Feels little fear going up against a triple strategist, knowing the damage output isn't quite there. Forever's going to open up the cart and return. Yes, get a quick touch onto the objective. It's just going to hold up their shield and beg for mercy, but Beetle has little mercy in his heart. Insomnia get quickly capped upon on first.
Yeah, Line Pro builds up the Soul Resurgence now, but didn't have access to it in the fight. Nocta now might also get staggered too, as Chopp's just going to continue that aggression. And that's going to force Soul Resurgence, but they're all going to be slowed down because of Invis Boundary. And when they try and get out of Invis Boundary, they run directly into Ischaff.
Okay, miss. I don't know if that one was entirely purposeful. Still, it cannot be punished just yet. This Human Torch around the outside is so difficult to deal with because Twitzy can't afford to invest the usage of the Blessing of the Deep to get up there and deal with this one. Beetle with the last stand. 2Z on the follow-up. Twitzy and Line Pro already down. A quick Karmic Revival here from Nocta. And there's finally going to be a little bit of survivability given on over. Extra damage boost. Vertigo is absolutely jellified under the biomass that was brought forth here. Twitzy rolls up on 2Z, but use the Blessing of the Deep to do so. Still, it's rewarded for the aggression. There's enough pocket here that Twitzy can afford to be so aggressive.
Yeah, huge defensive Horn of Proteus to come through after the Karmic Revival cast, damage boosted as well off of both the Luna and that Mantis, which means one-shot potential aplenty. Chop now are going to be going over off of the Wolverine onto the Groot, looking for isolations onto this Mag, who does have that Meteor M up against 2Z with the Galactic Legend, but if he gets isolated, he might be forced to use it early. There goes the Solid Ultimate, there goes the Mag Ultimate, and there goes Vertigo all the way back to spawn.
Only got himself to blame, charged it up with a Joyful Splash, but then you can't really control that as Jeff, given how far that projectile goes in towards the back. The Wrath of the Seven Seas doesn't quite connect. A good dodge coming through from the Invisible Woman, but Twitzy on this high ground is going to be difficult to remove.
I mean, he got so much spam. He's already 80% to that next Horn of Proteus. Is going to be able to put so much pressure onto Chop's players. They've got the Strangling Prison. Currently, they don't really have anything to combine it with other than maybe Vertigo coming on through with the It's Jeff. DRP's got to go all the way around the side so they don't run directly into that name or spam. And there goes the Strangling Prison into the Jeff feet. He only gets his friendly Groot, though.
Only got the friendly Groot. It must have been Pasuo with the unbreakable guard, making sure that everyone was immune to that CC, and then instantly going into the angry hold form. 3 players going together. Not the ideal way to mitigate the damage from an Ultron. I'm not gonna lie to you, fellas. Does mean they're sharing that one out, but I don't know if you want to democratize that damage. Noctua with a quick resurrection, bringing back Line Pro and relaxing skies. So the healing's going to be here for Insomnia, but Twitzy is going to need to try and find something on the off angle.
Relaxing Sky does have Fate of both worlds, though, to try and survive DRP's Feast of the Abyss. Pedal finds Line Pro, and that forces Insomnia down one of their strategists to have to use the Luna, which means that DRP is going to get a free Feast of the Abyss, and Tuzi just has to worry about that Meteor M. Out comes the Soulbind. The Adams resources have been forced, and Chop just continue applying the pressure because they've got the space.
The light and dark armor there means Relaxing Sky feels unbothered on the approach. The layers of walls here. The defensive onion has been erected.
The force physics.
And the force physics gets a little bit of value here. Still, Pasuo is going to be able to make this work. In towards the back. The Meteor M doesn't get anything. A strangling prison grabs in the Vanguards. Relaxing Sky also a victim. DRP's Dark Predations backed on up by the Thorn Lash walls, and the damage is supreme here for Chopped. Still, they continue to roll on through. Pasuo flies through the air, but just gets an excellent view of the cart capping through onto third.
See, normally having an off angle is actually a really good thing for strategists and an AMO composition. On second, when the objective is so close to that finish line, it actually interferes with the LOS a lot of the time. So Insomnia being split into 2 halves of a team meant that they weren't getting all of the resources given to them. Twitzy now moves on over towards that Phoenix, trying to take all of the advantage from Chop, moving forward, overextended, looking to stack up those sparks, but Tuzi's already got the Galactic Legend, and DRP dives into the backline to prevent a safe disengage. It's got to be turned at least somewhat over to Pasuo, but Relaxing Sky still uses Fate of both worlds to save Nocta, so that Nocta doesn't have to use the cocoon to self-res.
There's a second phase here if Insomnia wants it. There it is. Line Pro backing in straight away with the Soul Resurgence, but bursted on through. Vertigo looks towards the back, knowing what Nocta might be cooking. Gets both the Phoenix and the Atom. This is absolutely ruinous for Insomnia. The cart's going to continue moving. These 2 are expelled elsewhere. The lesser mobility of the Adam Warlock is really going to be a problem back there, as they don't want... Why?
Well, the problem there is if they leave the Atom on that angle and Nocta uses res, then all of a sudden Insomnia's players would get res behind Chopped rather than in front of the Groot to wall off the spawn doors.
Truth heard. Speak it, Mox. Forever. Caught in the corner. Now the Galactic Legend forces Twitty up to the sky. Nocta noted on the approach. May well have a Karma Grabber to work with. Still a mid-air, not quite working. Forever can't connect. 2.5 meters separate Chopped from their full completion, but being down on Tuzi is definitely going to be a big opening for Insomnia. They're only worrying about Crazy Kitty's damage output now, or DRP with the Feast of the Abyss. He looks to just keep everyone locked away in the spawn, getting up close and personal to that Phoenix. We know how dangerous it can be, but in the end, it's just the cart that's going to be contested here by the Vanguards of Insomnia. The Cosmic Yarn Amplifier drawn on up, and so Chopped call for disengage.
Yeah, Nocta actually uses Karmic Revival too, which means that Chopped are more than happy to just let the Atom res and bring the Mag back, because the Mag doesn't have Meteor M, and Crazy Kitty's got Rage of Ultron. But Chopped to just go aggressively in. Tuzi's even back over to that Human Torch. They're just going to go aggressive in this fight off of Beetle with the Strangling Prison.
Rage of Ultron spreads out the damage. This time, giving themselves a little bit more space to work with inside the Strangling Prison. It should be easily healed through here. Nocta prioritized, and there's a big grab coming through from Vertigo to get rid of multiple members. You can see the Mag is going to be the primary victim of that one. Sense of a Shadow actually bounced off the wall, and so lands directly back on the cart. Maybe a little bit of help given over there by Vertigo, but Crazy Kitty definitely not helping Insomnia right now. Absolutely tearing through them. Tuzi comes through on the Human Torch that we noted earlier, but Nocta's managed to get them with a Cosmic Cluster. The mechanics are still here for Nocta. The hope and dream is still alive with 4 members up. Insomnia didn't have anyone on the car ready to go, and that's going to be Insomnia full capped upon with 22 seconds still in the time bank for Chopped.
Yeah, the ebb and flow of shots coming through there, forcing Nocturne to using the Karmic Revival, letting the 10 seconds go with just a 1 res onto that Magneto, coming back in, not fully disengaging. If Insomnia tried to play aggressive, they would go into the Strangling Prison. They had to back off and give space. And that meant that Chop knew that they could use Rage of Ultron to open up the space, then Strangling Prison could come through off of the objective. Insomnia would have to use the CC immunity of that Lunar Ultimate plus the heal per second, try and keep everybody alive through it so they could put themselves onto the objective after the CC's worn off. And then if the fight goes long, Chopped have the Human Torch damage to be able to come on through. And if everyone from Insomnia can't look at the Human Torch, Tuzi's going to be absolutely melting them.
Okay, now for the real test for Insomnia. Can they break through the 3-3, the triple, the spawn hold of pure biomass that Chopped are going to have at their doorway?
Chopped are on the Penny. They've actually come out of that spawn.
They're playing at the rocket, so they've got the double nests.
So, at least for Insomnia, like, they do have to worry about the nests, especially because you can actually see where the mine deployment is going to be. Is the generator, it's in a small room. The Punisher's not going to have access to it unless he goes directly in there.
What you need here is a Squirrel Girl to start bouncing some nuts. Finally, Pro Squirrel Girl confirmed. Forever slowly floats on down using the magnetic levitation. Look at the little cubby hole that Chopped have got themselves here. They re-emerge with Pasuo, having led the charge. A trailblazer indeed, but Noctis' trail has been very thoroughly blazed by Beetle. Isolated in the back line, Pro's got no choice but to fall to Crazy Kitty's iron volley. And once again, Chopped, they just escape into the catacombs.
So, unironically, Squirrel Girl would actually be pretty good to be able to ricochet damage off of the generator. If not the Squirrel Girl, punish the fact that Tuzi's on the Loki, and Nocta can find the Onk bounces. Over the top they go from the other angle and forces the Devious Exchange onto the Loki. Good Groot Wall comes on through from Beetle so that Tuzi can survive the reposition, but Nocta now is so close to the first haunt of Khonshu. But Chopped have just flipped map. They've got all the way to attacker spawn now.
Okay, and potentially bisected one moment at a time by Beetle, the Insomnia tank line. The Vanguards have been dragged down to the floor. Nox has already been taken down. For Insomnia, they're starting to think about this cerebrally, but once again, I'm not sure if you can think your way out of this. Swirly towards the back, the absolute yeeting power, and that's Reluctant Sky from long range, bringing up the invisible boundary. Great play from the Invisible Woman, playing from elsewhere. Tuzi off for splash damage, gets caught on that. Oh yeah, the BRB. Ragnarok Rebirth may have left Loki, but you can't keep a good Trickster God down. In comes the hand of Khonshu. Noctis doesn't really connect at all right here. Twitzy from on high. It's going to be Goddess versus Goddess. I believe that one's a copy from 2.
Yes, it is. And it's damage boosted too. However, Insomnia will be able to find the win and the elimination. Have they finally been able to break the spawn hold though, as out comes Spider Sweeper.
Yeah.
And Penny just runs directly at Relaxing Sky, who at least has access to force physics and doesn't have to worry about the mines underneath their feet.
Most useful Penny out I've ever seen in my life. DRP surely's got to reset off the bat. What is bro doing? What is bro doing over here?
Oh no.
Homie's confused.
Wait, he's trying to find the pick onto Nocta. Okay. He did buy enough time though. Crazy Kitty unchecked onto Toxic Strange, was able to teleport the rest of the team to the back of the objective and now fortify their position for another rocket VRV, which does get taken down just before Crazy Kitty can be brought back by it.
Okay, DRP does swap. Don't know if he makes the solo push. He does make the solo push through. In fact, does have Vertigo behind them, or Mash behind them rather, on the Jeff. And they're swapping around who's playing these characters. A little bit confusing. DRP forced to a Sonic Vortex. Insomnia can maybe try and get something off the momentum here after what was quite a wild self-stagger coming through from DRP. Twice in a row, actually. Beetle rolls on through. The hands of Khonshu descend upon Groot, who manages to lay down the Strangling Prison, but there's no one really here to try and follow up upon it. It's just Mash on the Jeff, and well, that's going to be Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder hitting the wall.
If the storm stays, I thoroughly believe that there is an opportunity for Tuzi to use God of Mischief to copy Twitzy and them to do the Jeff Nado. Oh, never mind. Tuesday's over to the Winter Soldier. Free has been broken. Back to TT2 compositions we're gonna go, especially because we're gonna be able to potentially find the hook to cancel Forever's ultimate too, with the Strangling Prison not getting to combine with the Storm's ult.
We do a little trolling. The time for trolling is over now, though, as Beetle's already been taken down, lumberjacked by Insomnia, and it's going to mean that it's even longer before Insomnia can really face a big challenge from 6 members of Chopped.
Paswo gets fully cleared out by the Winter Soldier, which now means that the angle from the high ground is in Crazy Kitty's control. Nocta too, just trying to spam damage with those Ankh bounces to build a Pond of Conchu and play off of Forever's ultimate, but Chopper through the choke, and onto the objective brawl they go.
Oh, that's a huge strangling prison, and we're all trapped in one place, sharing out the damage. The Meteor M is up above. All of the resources are pumped into Twitzy to shut down the weather front that was given over. Insomnia, a big investment, but Chopped have to equally invest to shut down the momentum that had been gained off of first.
Insomnia, though, now have to walk into Tuzi, having full control of the space and Kraken impact. They're not going to be able to rely on Paswo going on through with a soft dive to pull the attention of the rest of the players to get to move forward, because they've got Phoenix Stuns and Force Physics and Mag Bubble, as DOP is actually coming under a lot of pressure on that right side lane. Insomnia will be able to buy that push forward from main off of the back of that. As Chop, they're not overextending. They're waiting for Insomnia to walk to them. They know that win condition, and that's the Winter Soldier.
I don't mind seeing Forever here on the neutral Doctor Strange. Excellent mechanics in his back pocket with this, and the earlier usage of the Dark Maelstrom as well is ready to go with only a 6-second cooldown. Going to be an exchange of hooks here between Nocta and Tuzi. It's definitely going to be a difficult battle. Uphill for Nocta, but it's not impossible for Insomnia to win out with this one with raw skill and brain power.
Chopped a better combo though. Strangling Presence set up for Kraken impact, but the dodge and the Guardian Shield from Relaxing Sky. Tuzi thought he could find the connection. Has to use the Trooper's Fist to disengage before he can get slowed by the boundary.
All right, ready to go with a Jeffy. Straight away, Nocta shut on down as they try to match this one. Mash towards the leg, just going to prioritize raw healing throughput, not going for an eat, and instead can just deploy the Joyful Splash to keep the members of the team away. And that's going to be Crazy Kitty. Impact midair onto Paswo. Raises up with Cosmic Intent and crashes down as you go up against the Phoenix. And now it's going to be a big stun coming through. Crazy Kitty taken on down. Tuzi's pocketed here by Vertigo. The patience was real to make sure the invisible boundary was brought up at the right time. Line Pro also slain as the frags are delivered. It's too far gone though for the side of Chop. They're going to be able to reinforce via the portal. I don't know if Insomnia have similar usage here. A little bit of portal trolling comes on through, and Insomnia can't touch the card. Chopped have held it with the patience of stone. They've managed to stand in the way of Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder and send Insomnia to the abyss.
Yeah, that Force Physics finds the connection on the Wolverine just before he can hit the objective and hit overtime for the rest of the team to move on through from that portal. Crazy Kitty will walk away with the MVP, and it's Chopped walking away with the 3-0 victory, continuing their journey in the lower bracket to potentially find a rematch and manage to punch their ticket finally to that LAN in Atlanta.
Oh, they are ready, raring and ready to go against Insomnia. 3-0, a dominant performance. And they're going to need it, knowing that they're likely going to go up against Na'Vi. But still, Na'Vi have the win out against FaZe to make it there. This has just been a bit of a swan song as well. For Insomnia, we saw a great number of comps from them, showing just how versatile this team is. But against the raw powerhouse that Chopped is, can be difficult.
I mean, Chopped were just ready for every single potential opportunity. Reliance on Atom composition, they've got counters. Reliance on Mantis, they've got counters. 2-2-2 composition, they've got plans for that one too. You can really tell the amount of work that this team has done. That Meteor M finally being able to find the pick, but unfortunately the Rocket POV still being in place, so the Loki gets brought back and we get this battle of the two storms that Twitch is able to establish dominance into. But managing to break through first, they lost so much time on it. It really really did put them down to the wire on second, especially when Chopped went for the swaps and we got to see TOOZY over to the Winter Soldier, getting to punish the stacked players from Insomnia coming on through, and Nocta did the same, mind you, swapping over to the Winter Soldier, managing to build a Kraken impact at the same time as TOOZY. It was just that Chopped had the better setup for it. Strangling Prism plus Kraken impact is always going to have to force out that invis boundary as a reactionary measure, and that again was something that Chopped planned for. It really was. They knew that something that they would put in would then have a chain reaction, and they could make sure that they would be able to control that chain reaction and come out the winner at the end of it.
Oh, it really looked like it could have been turned around when we saw that mad Guardian Shield from Relaxing Sky block off the grasping tendrils of a Strangling Prison, and also scupper TOOZY's attempt at following up upon it with the Kraken impact. So there was a trust there that Beta was going to get the value off the ultimate, so they pumped it in before they even knew how many people were going to be inside of the grasp. But unfortunately, the resource gap was simply too big, and being able to take out Pasuo in midair with the Phoenix, kind of baller and very effective.
Yeah, I mean, they had Pasuo's number, as we talked about, right? They saw how effective the soft dives were, and it was just a case of, okay, if it is soft dives, we're going to make sure that the dive doesn't give the rest of the team all of that space, so that once the dive is done, they win the fight from what comes next.
For Insomnia, though, just like Shades of Endgame, they may have been Insomniacs thus far, but now they can rest, and they've been laid to rest quite assuredly by Chopped here. It's been quite the run from Insomnia. They've shown just how much some good planning and perseverance can do. This team has improved dramatically as well, including bringing up players from teams that did well in MRC but didn't show up too much when it came to Ignite. We saw Twitzy get picked up for this team, and I think that Insomnia definitely are a collection of players that are going to be worth watching moving into the future of the Marvel Rivals Pro scene.
Yeah, definitely keep your eye on that team, both the players and the staff behind them. They have a bright future ahead of them. As Chopped, well, they have a mountain ahead of them. They get to continue in the lower bracket, but they are by no means safe, as we're going to be able to bring one of their players into the interview room and say hello and welcome. Congratulations on the win, DRP.
Hello, hello. Thank you.
Hey, bud, it's nice to see you. What's changed from yesterday to today to make all of these games so dominant for you guys on Chopped?
I mean, after yesterday, we just realized that we're really pretty good at the game and that we're really confident, and that, knowing our roles, we can probably beat anyone. So we're kind of confident, especially after the match.
So why do you think the team has such a strong performance on domination? Is it micro? Is it macro? Is it just a map type that you guys have done a lot of preparation on?
I just think we're kind of pretty good on domination because we can easily adapt. We can play pretty much everything. We can adapt. I mean, we kind of have good drafts on domination. We know how to play the maps. And I don't know, we just play our playstyle. And it worked for domination.
Speaking of your playstyle, you guys are distinctly really good at dealing with karmic revivals, the Adam Res. How is it you guys are dealing with the Adam Resurrections?
I mean, we just perma-mark the Adam. We really don't want to let him res ever. Not even one single time. That's just the way to go if you want to win.
We've seen a mixed bag of results when it comes to teams trying to make the Hulk Namor work. You guys made it look absolutely wonderful on Symbiotic Surface. What's the secret, do you feel, to being able to play the Hulk Namor angle into things like the res or potentially a dive?
I mean, I will say just pretty much position and communication, more likely.
What's the deal with the penny?
Kinda the strat that we cooked up for a long time. We wanted to play it out, and it worked kinda, so... I'll try against Na'Vi.
Yeah. I think maybe the penny versus Na'Vi. Just leaking some strats, you know? Thank you so much for joining us, DRP. We'll give you some time to watch Na'Vi's game and prepare for potentially Na'Vi or FaZe in that loser semi and stamp your ticket to LAN.
Yes, sir.
All right, that was DRP Vanguard Super.